Hello there, friends. My name is Scott Wakefield. I am lead pastor at First Christian Church of Greene County, and I am here with
Lori Wilhoit, principal at South Greene High School.
And we are going to have a coffee
Convo.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Truth be told, we're not drinking coffee.
I don't like coffee.
That's a good follow-up question for me. To get started, what is wrong with you that you don't like coffee?
My mom and dad have drank coffee my whole life, and I just think it's disgusting. My sister drinks coffee, but I do not drink coffee. Only old people drink coffee.
I don't know how to respond to that. Have you tried good coffee, like actual good coffee?
I have.
Yeah.
I've tried it from everywhere. I just don't like it. Plus, it would make my teeth brown, so.
That is not a dumb reason to not do it.
There you go.
I will continue for the rest of this time together to keep my lips over my teeth. So, Lori Wilhoit, tell us who you are and where you're from, and some good things about growing up at Wilhoit. Well, you didn't grow up at Wilhoit, but you're now at Wilhoit. Growing up, where you grew up, and all those good things.
Well, I am from Greene County.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the DeBus community, so very close to South Greene. About 7 minutes if you're really late to school and you have to know how long it takes to get from your house to the front door.
Nice.
Yes. My parents are Randy and Sudie Miller,
Mm-hmm.
and I have one sister. Her name is Shauna. And I married, actually, I'll go back. I went to South Greene High School, went to DeBus, graduated from South Greene, class of 95, and had no intentions of ever becoming an educator.
Really?
No intentions,
Really?
Yeah.
What were your intentions?
I was going to be a lawyer and the President of the United States, of course.
Those are good goals.
Yeah.
I resonate with having thought at some point in my life that I would be the president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I went to... actually went to Tennessee Tech on a basketball managing scholarship.
Basketball managing?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
So when I was a little girl, I used to pray that I'd be on a state championship team. I'd go to bed and pray and pray and pray. So,
Well, if you grew up in that area,
yeah,
of course you did.
I did. And so...
That's not crazy talk, actually.
No, that's very true.
Yeah.
Used to have walls plastered with Lady Rebel clippings.
Wow.
So I was obviously short, very short. I'm 5'3". So my first day of high school, Coach Larry Ricker asked me if I wanted to be a basketball manager, and that year we won the state championship. My picture hangs in the gym. So God answered those prayers in a very,
Nice.
very crazy kind of way. But I did go to college on a basketball manager scholarship. Hated it. Mom and I both were miserable, so I came back here and got an associate's degree in social work and decided that was very depressing. So I went on to ETSU and got my teaching degree in special ed. Love my first level will always be special ed.
Cool.
And then I met my husband after I started teaching special ed. I married Eric Wilhoit and went back and got my master's in educational leadership.
Cool.
And had no intentions of really ever doing anything with that. So, of course... a job came up in a central office, being the assistant sped director. So I did that for 3 years, had 2 children in 3 years because I did not like the job.
Now press pause real quick. You educators are sort of like the military. You throw around these words, or like nurses
Yes.
and doctors. SPED is special ed.
education.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
So I went to that job, was not happy, and a special ed job came back open at South Greene, so I ran to that job as quick as I could get there. And then that year, my 10th grade English teacher came to me and said, I'm going to retire and you're going to take my place. And I said, I have 2 children under 18 months old. No, I'm not. And she said, yes, you are. So my boss got me a student teacher. I studied and took the English praxis, and I spent the last 10 years teaching 10th grade English and absolutely love it. It was definitely a godsend.
Cool.
So
Good stuff.
And then one day, my principal came to me and said, I'm leaving. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? She said, no, I'm leaving. And I said, okay, what do I need to do? And she said, you need to apply for the job. And I said, I was shocked. But here I am 4 years later and love it.
Yes.
I love it.
let's just keep going.
There you go.
So you've been principal for 4 years.
4 years.
And you never thought you were going to be in education in the first place or wanted to be.
No.
And here you are. God's led you to where you are, and you love it. What do you love about being principal? What do you love about South Greene? What do you love about those things?
Okay, so South Greene, I kid all the time that if you cut my veins, my blood doesn't run red, it's maroon.
Yes.
Literally maroon. I love South Greene.
Yeah.
I love everything that the community stands for, and I love just the people and the kids. Like when you asked me earlier today how many kids I had, and I said 520 because I really believe that.
Yes, you said it.
Yes,
like
I did. they're
no,
my
I was
kids.
talking about like your biological.
I have 2 of those,
Yes,
but they're very much my kids. I love the support. I love that it's still a community school.
Mm-hmm.
It's I love all of that, and I love the support. I love watching the community pour into the school. That's probably the greatest part. And the people that work there, we have such a dynamic, strange culture at the school. Most of us are graduates.
I was going to say, aren't the vast majority South Greene people?
The vast majority of
Are rebels.
Are rebels. They are. And that, our kids go to school there. It's very important that we do a good job. We want our kids to get the best, and so our own personal kids. And so that's really created a very different kind of atmosphere.
What do you mean by different? Than what?
I think it's different than most schools because we have this vested pride and this vested competition that we have to compete against ourselves to make it better all the time. So we very much have a growth mindset that you can always be better. So it's important.
And how much of that is in you because you grew up there and you're rooted in the community and you know those people and you know those people's parents and those people's parents?
It really does make a difference.
Yeah.
It makes a difference that I know. The kids know that I know too, and I think that makes a difference.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you do something and they're like, I'm going to tell your mom. Well, they know sincerely that their mom probably has my phone number, and we're really that's really going to happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, I do think that it makes a difference, but it is very different than most schools. I would think. Yes.
I never had a sense that any teacher, or there might have been a coach that this was an exception for me. I never had any sense that any teacher or principal or administrator, and most of my coaches, and I went to public school my whole life, I had no sense that they were going to follow up with my parents, or that there was this community rootedness where I would go out and see them in the community. Like, that just never happened for me. Now, of course, I grew up in a big city most of my grown-up years. And so I've noticed, there's a story when I went to Kroger once, like as a junior in high school, and the lady in front of me was talking to the person at the register, the cashier, as if they knew each other. And they were doing the how's mom and them kind of thing. And I thought, that's interesting. They kind of know each other. That was weird. And then I thought, wait, no, I'm the weird one, because that's how it's supposed to be, right? Like, that's how it's supposed to be in the community, and I didn't grow up with that.
Right.
It's cool that still happens.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
This is a weird tie-in to this. Especially since I'm going to say this out loud for anybody on the internet to hear. I sometimes have a jag on this thing that I'll do for a week or two, or like I'll get on a subject for a few days or weeks or month, and I'll learn everything I can about it, and just, I don't know, it's so I'm not like a country music guy. This is where it starts to get weird. But I recently started listening to a small, weird genre of country music that is nothing but, and I just started searching for this, nothing but songs about my hometown.
Okay.
Really, I did. And I thought, you know what? That's music that speaks to like that rootedness in the community, where they're saying, and it's not like country music is the only thing that, the only genre that does this, or the only like people write about these things, and there's poetry about this, and other genres of music may do this, but country does it way more than others. And I'm not a country music guy. I'm kind of a folksy acoustic guy. I've been talking too much. Let's wrap it up, Scott. So I went on this little jag for about 2 weeks of looking for every song I could find that talks about hometown, my house, my people, going back to where I'm from and my roots. And I thought, you know what? That's part of what I love about this community. That it's changing. It's different than it used to be in some ways. But in some places, there are these enclaves of a lot of people who are like, no, really, we do actually still know each other in these kinds of ways. And I think that is super important for these kids. Super important for young people to have in a way that's being destroyed in lots of parts of our world today.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Keeping that alive matters, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I also think that it's very important that children have good relationship with adults that are not their parents. That they, I say you have to have a relationship before you can have rigor. Like you have to have that relationship, and that's a huge part of what we do. We talk about the trauma that some kids have been through, and how we build relationships, and why it's important to build relationships, and how a student doesn't care what you have to say until they know that you care. So anyway, it's a lot of what we do.
How do you build that kind of community and culture among your staff and faculty with students and families?
We have lots of discussion, open and honest discussion. That's probably one of the biggest entity of our staff is if someone has something going on or someone has an issue, we talk about it. It's kind of like the family dinner table. Let's get it all out and let's talk about it. If a student's having an issue, we make sure that just the people involved with the issue know, or just the people that student has in contact. We try to go to that teacher and say, hey, this kid's having this issue today, and you may see a change. And a lot of times the kids will go to the teachers before we ever know. The teachers will come and say, hey, this is happening. What do we need to do? So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of hard work. I call it heart, not hard. It is hard work, but it's a lot of, it weighs on your heart sometimes. It really does.
Yeah.
But then you have lots of kids that, are, I hate to say the word normal, but, they're normal. They go to school, their parents are at home. It's, it's just a normal atmosphere. So that, those kids make it a lot easier. Irregular kids. So.
Yeah. What are some of the hindrances, do you think, for kids growing up nowadays that are different than what you remember? Some of the hardships and different things that are unique to kids today.
The biggest thing today is communication. They have the world at their fingertips.
Yeah.
And that can be the biggest blessing and the worst thing ever too.
Because?
Well, they film and record, and everyone can be brave behind a phone, or all those types of things. And, we didn't have that growing up.
No, right.
Yeah, we didn't have
We had
those.
to actually talk to one another.
Yes.
Or
face
not.
to face.
And there were not lots of other options.
Correct.
So the ease and ubiquity of communications in more superficial terms that often can be faked has made interpersonal communication that much more important and rare
Absolutely.
and harder? Is that what you mean?
Maybe not harder, but definitely rarer, and the kids are craving that. One of the things we did this year was we bought round lunch tables instead of long lunch tables.
Yes.
And it facilitates conversation so much more.
Circles are better than rows.
Yes. So being just more deliberate with the things. Most of our classrooms now have tables instead of the desks.
Really?
Because, just so kids will talk to each other more. And it works. They do. They do. It's interesting how that just getting them out of rows and out of desks facilitates more group work and more learning and collaboration. So
yeah. Has that made some things difficult, the circle part within classrooms?
No, the teachers love it.
Do they?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. So we're on a block schedule, so our classes are an hour and a half.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
Yes.
do that so that you can do the Socratic seminars and you can have the discussions. And
What's a
the
Socratic seminar?
A Socratic seminar is when the teacher asks questions, the kids ask questions back, they respond. So it's just a discussion.
Yeah.
That's more focal and centered. So yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty aware of pedagogical terminology. So, you graduated high school in 95?
1995, yes.
I graduated in 1991.
That's why you drink coffee and I don't.
That's right, because I'm old, as
Yeah,
you
'cause
said.
you're old, yeah.
And have yellow-brown teeth. Thank you for that.
Yes, no problem.
First with a... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I just graduated again though. If I don't say that, my mom will be mad at me.
Oh, you mean like you're like
I just finished my doctorate.
you're a Dr. Lori
I
Wilhoit?
am Dr. Lori.
Woo!
Yeah,
That's worth saying,
that is.
because it takes a long
Took
time.
a long time.
Yeah. Are you, at this point, looking back, glad you did it?
Yes. Yes, at this point.
At this point.
At Christmas, I would have said no.
Yeah.
Yes, at this point, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you use cool terms like Socratic dialogue and things like that?
No, I did my dissertation on parent engagement in secondary schools.
Tell us about parent engagement in secondary schools.
It's riveting.
I would like to hear.
It is not riveting.
There's a huge public out there. I mean, dozens of people at least.
Yeah, there's
dozen.
no one that wants to know that. Parents just want to be involved. That's what the bottom line is.
They do?
They want to know what's going on, and
Yes.
they want to be involved, and they want to be invited. They want to be welcomed.
So they feel like they're not invited enough? Is that part of what...
Yeah, but they don't want you to invite them to something that could have been an email or a newsletter.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they want to be a part of their kids' lives. They really do.
What does that mean at the high school level?
One of the things that I found, ironically enough, is like when we have a Veterans Day program.
Yeah.
The parents love that they're invited to take place in the reception. Or we're having National Honor Society this week, and the parents love that we provide an opportunity for the parents to get to know each other alongside of their kids, because they hear the kids talking about other kids, but to actually get to meet those parents and meet those other kids.
Right.
It's in a different atmosphere besides a gym or a football field or McDonald's or wherever. So that was one of the really eye-opening things. I would have never thought that parents really enjoyed that, but that was one of the things that several of them talked about.
Why do you think that in particular was helpful and something they appreciated?
I think because it gives them a common place to meet. You're not going to someone's house. You're not going to a restaurant. Like, you're going to just an easy, common place with no strings attached. I think that was kind of the...
Yeah, and a lot, and those kinds of places don't exist for us as much socioculturally as they used to. And I also, as you were talking, I was thinking, I'll see people at restaurants or games or things like that, and the only reason we would continue to connect in those places is if we had some other reason for that relationship. Our kids go to the same school, and so some of that commonality is there, but with some space to talk about it and to meet one another. Is that because there is, if you can't tell, I'm an abstract idea nerd. Is that because there's not enough of those contexts that naturally happen in our communities
I think
anymore?
so. I think there's not. People don't sit in front of the country store anymore or, sit on their front porch and wave at the neighbors as they walk by. That doesn't happen a lot anymore. So those natural places that would happen just doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't hardly happen. By the time I've pulled into the driveway, my garage is halfway up, and I go into it and I close it.
Absolutely.
And when I've noticed, I'm also kind of a intentional weird jerk face. So I'll be driving through my neighborhood, and I'm like, waving at people, and like half the time they're like, who are you and why would you even be waving at me? I live right over there. I live right there. Hello. But that's not normal. That's not normal. And when we first got here 20 years ago, I came from Chicago, and as I was driving up and down Kevin Lane on the hills, people would be like, as they're passing by in their cars, they would just wave at me, or people in their on their porches would be waving at me. Like, oh, that's weird. I guess I'm supposed to wave. Hey, hi. And so I start doing it now, and so I'm the weird waver,
Right.
and others are not.
Right.
And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I live right there.
Right.
There is a positive there. Let's use normal words, Scott. There's not enough regular old sitting down talking,
Right.
having coffee convo on the front porch. How's your day going? Talking about what's going on in our community. It's a bunch of short little tiny snippets online, as I see you here or there, but it's not extended. And it's not because we've been together for lots of years and our families know each other.
Right.
I think that's an egregiously difficult problem to solve in a world in the world we're in.
Right. And we need it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's part of what I like about hearing what you say about South Greene and that area. So back to 1991 and 95. For an old guy like me. What has changed from when you were in school to now?
What has changed? Oh my goodness. I think one of the biggest things that's changed is what we expect kids to know. We put a lot of pressure on kids.
To know more things now?
To know more things,
Different
to know
things?
things more in depth. And we don't live in a world anymore where you have to know things. We live in a world where you have to know how to find things.
Yes, right.
I had that conversation with a student today.
Mm-hmm.
And she was asking me about an author, and I said, well, I know it's not this person because they wrote Frankenstein, but I've not heard of that character, so it's not
Shelley.
something I've read. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And I said, so look it up. And he said, is that not cheating? And I said, no. I said, you're researching. And he was like, oh, okay. So I think we do expect a lot out of kids. And I think at 18, Lori Wilhoit didn't know what she wanted to do. I thought I did, but I didn't. And I think that sometimes we put so much pressure on kids.
I've thought that too.
Yes, to know exactly what they want to do when they
Right.
grow up. And so.
And I think what I've noticed is a lot of them feel that and talk that way. And I hear them and I go, whoa. Relax. You got plenty of time to figure some of this out. You do not have to have this figured out right now. And I've noticed that coming from them, but I don't think it's them manufacturing it in and of themselves. They've been enculturated that way, and there's so much pressure. And where do you think those things are coming from, educationally or society?
I think it comes from everywhere. I think it comes from society. I think it comes from school. I think that, I've got a counselor there 3 days a week saying, now, where do you want to go to college? Where do you want to go to technical school?
Right.
Are you interested in this? We're constantly asking students those questions. And, the last couple of years, our students that have been juniors and seniors haven't had an opportunity to go explore, to go visit schools, to go do those things that normal students would
Right.
get to do. So
Yes.
I think it comes from all directions. So I think sometimes it's nice just to, every now and then I'll get a kid that says, I just don't know. And I'm like, that's okay.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely okay not to know.
It almost sounds healthy
Yes.
to hear that from some people.
Right. And there's some kids that know, like they know what they want to do.
Sure.
And so, yeah.
Okay. What else has changed and what's different?
What else has changed? I don't know. We still enjoy or have good work ethic. I think that more and more alumni are coming back to teach or to work in the field, so that's maybe changed just a little bit. I don't know. There's not a lot of change, and I think that's what makes it special.
Mm-hmm.
So, can't think of anything just eye-opening.
Okay, well, I want to get back to serious things, of course. But
Here we go.
but we have people who have asked some questions.
Okay.
So let's do some speed round.
Okay.
What's your favorite Disney park?
Magic Kingdom.
Why?
Because that's Mickey Mouse's house.
Okay. Um,
It's magical. All honesty, it's magical. Every time I see the castle for the first time I'm there, I just got back,
yes.
I cry every time. I have pictures of my kids growing up with me holding their hands looking at the castle. I'm that person. I'm that person.
That's
I'm
awesome.
that person.
I've got an inner Magic Kingdom crier.
Do you want to know how many
kind of
Mickey
person,
Mouse
but
dolls I have?
I probably don't, but go ahead and share with the world.
My parents are cringing right now.
Really?
Yeah, they're going to cringe.
How many?
Over 300.
That's at least 299 to 300 more than a human being should have.
And I can tell you where every single one of them came from.
So this has been a thing for you for a long time.
Yes.
And so the people that ask these questions know to be asking you about Disney.
Yeah.
I didn't know your insane love for Disney until today. Okay, so Magic Kingdom is your favorite park. Favorite ride?
My favorite ride is the new Pandora ride in Animal Kingdom. New Avatar ride. Flight of Passage.
Pretty cool. What's it like? I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Have you seen Avatar the movie?
No.
Okay, well.
I mean, I know of
They
it.
take your brain and they match you to an avatar, and then you get on the back of a banshee and you ride it through Pandora. And you can feel it breathing under your legs.
So are you actually doing movement, or is it like you sit in a thing
You
and it
sit in a
does,
thing,
so it's
and
one
you
of
have the
those kinds
glasses
of, okay,
on.
gotcha.
It's like 4D, and water splashing your face.
Yeah. 4D. What is the fourth D, by the way?
It's like the water and the smells and
Okay, so the 4D is, the 3D is the actual like 3D movie image, but the 4D is I'm actually experiencing the senses.
It's awesome.
Still doesn't make sense to me because I think
but there's a new ride too.
Right. Please.
Ratatouille at Epcot's pretty cool.
Ratatouille is a great movie.
Yeah, well, you turn into you go along with the rats. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's Mickey's Runaway Railroad in Hollywood Studios, and that's pretty cool too. Do you really want? I mean, you.
I think I've had my fill.
Yeah. Okay.
But we do have more Disney
Okay.
questions, of course. Favorite Disney character
Mickey Mouse.
and why?
Because it all began with a mouse.
Because the magic comes from him.
It does. Absolutely. I get all giddy every time I see him. I told you didn't want to know. My parents are cringing.
Cool. All right. It really is a cool place.
It is awesome.
It really is a cool place to go and experience. And I haven't been for years, but last time we took the kids, I realized, man, it's really phenomenal. It's its own planet.
It is its own planet. You can forget the whole. I think that's part of the joy for me. You can forget everything else around you and just be
a
kid.
Disney princess.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
When we walked into, and the Star Wars part was new at the time, we walked into that, I went,
Yeah.
this is a different world.
Yeah, you felt like you were in a different world.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Unbelievable how much work and time and effort that takes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, favorite campus pastor from First Christian Church?
Bob.
And why?
He's not Tommy.
That's the answer we were looking for right there. That's the answer we were looking for right there. What makes South Greene, the rest of these are pretty serious ones.
Okay.
What makes the South Greene community unique?
I think because people stay there. They stay there. We don't have a lot of moving in and out. People come there and they stay, and then their children build houses there and they stay. It's very generational.
Yeah, more so than some other parts of the county.
Absolutely.
In some ways, yeah.
And don't get me wrong, we have new students that come in all the time, but most of the time they stay. It's a very rooted community.
How have you seen God work in your 4 years as principal?
this whole thing's a God thing. I say all the time, it's not my work, it's my mission.
Yeah.
And I felt that way about teaching. And I don't know that you could even do this kind of work if God wasn't with you. And
If you don't have a sense of
you.
calling to it.
Yes. I definitely think it's definitely a sense of calling and a sense of, being where you're supposed to do and doing what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Too many things just work out for it not to have God in it. If that makes sense. And I know that sounds really kind of corny, but I really don't have another explanation other than, I can see how that God has just, put his hand on my campus and kept us safe, kept us, I don't worry because I know that God's going to take care of, he's going to take care of us no matter what happens and what trials and tribulations that we go through. And every it's a school, things are going to happen.
Right. There's always something broken. There's always something not working right. There's always a problem to fix.
Absolutely.
And yet at the same time, we're moving forward. Things are improving. Kids are learning. Staff and faculty are becoming more focused on the goals. How do you think your sense of the things you just told us about the Lord's got this, how has that, let me ask it this way. You're a leader. How has that, do you think, informed your leadership and helped you? And is that part of why people feel confident to follow? Whether it's stated or not.
Right. I think that people know that I'm going to be honest and that I'm going to do what I think is best, even if it's not the most popular decision. But I think, I wouldn't ever dare make a huge decision without praying about it. And I've even said I'm going to have to pray about that because I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer, so I'm going to have to pray about that. And I think that makes a difference in, I think that makes probably a difference in the way I lead, but I also think that it makes a difference in the way people respond when I actually put my foot down and say something. I think they know it's not a knee-jerk reaction, that I've actually put some thought into it, and and I'm also not afraid to say, I've screwed up, time out, let's rewind and do this again. So I think that, we thank God we serve a forgiving God, and that we can jump back and punt sometimes and say, okay, I messed up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talk more about leadership and how that's been borne out for you as a principal. What you've learned about it, what's been hard, what's been easy, what's been difficult.
It's lonely sometimes. It is. It's lonely sometimes, but I think that I could not do this without my staff. There's no way. And when I went to apply for the job, I said I have to have, the support. And I hope that, just like if you have an issue or anything, I'm like, you have to come tell me. You can sit on it and let it, be a splinter and keep getting infected, or we can just throw it out on the table. And so I think one of the things I've learned is just to be honest and open. If we've got a problem, let's throw it out on the table and go with it. And I try to do the kids the same way. Obviously, there's going to be things happen. Well, why? Why did this happen? Why are you reacting this way?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. And, that's what God wants from us. He just wants us to have a conversation with him. He just wants us to talk about it with him. And I think that very much transfers into how I lead.
What's lonely about it?
Sometimes it feels like you're the only one that's making those decisions. Not really. My assistant principal and I, and we're really, we, honest to goodness, have this great working relationship. But we sat down, and he's a great Christian man, and we sat down before we ever said, and I said, if we're going to do this, we have to do it together.
Sure.
And he said, absolutely. And,
yeah.
So we made a pact, no secrets.
Sure.
No, open communication. Let's do it together, and we do. But there's a lot of times that it's just him and I that know that we don't, it's just how it is.
Well, and this is a part of leadership at a certain point of responsibility, around you that if you've not been there, it's sort of like it's you just don't know. You just don't know. There are parts of it that are far more weighty and isolating about that kind of responsibility. That you can go inward. You can become fearful, and that's not good. What keeps you from going inward and being fearful, and continuing to keep things out on the open? You've mentioned that now 3 or 4 times in our conversation. Mm-hmm. That's obviously important to you, but it's important, period.
Right.
For any organization and leadership responsibility, and that takes courage to do that. What keeps you from going inward and isolating? Because you're obviously let's be a team. Let's be a family about this, which is good and great. I'm totally with you about all that. What keeps you motivated to do that, even when it's hard? Because there are things that people don't know that rest with you. It can be stuff, information. It can be a choice and responsibility that like, there are some people who are not going to like these things. And in fact, most people may not like these things, but yet you are making sure those happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I think that I have to be at peace. That's where it starts. Like, I have to be at peace with what I'm doing and with what decisions that I'm making. And I think
you
that
personally,
yeah,
before even sometimes it's out.
Yeah, before
right,
it's
right.
even out there. And then once I kind of get it through my head that this is the right thing, and this is, even if it's not the most popular thing.
Yeah.
I think, and I probably the thing is the most is I try to always keep the students at the center of what we're doing, not the faculty and the staff, and they're super important, but as long as we're student centered, I feel like that's something that I always try to keep the students, and not just my students now, like alumni, or if anyone follows me on Facebook or Twitter, they know that I'm constantly, because I want them to know that they're important from here on. Like, I'm going to follow you and keep up with you and know what you're doing. So, yeah, just keeping the students at the center.
So much more I want to ask about those kinds of things.
Yes.
But in what specific ways can we best pray for staff and students?
I think for right now, for stamina, to see it through. This is the time of year where people are tired. And then I think just to continue to do the work that I feel like that God wants us to do. I feel like that, God puts people where He wants them, and I definitely feel like my staff are where they're supposed to be, and that as staff change over, as people retire, and
which is always
always happens. Just that the right people will get those jobs and apply for those jobs, and that we'll have discernment to make the right decision for those jobs.
Yeah.
And then, for our students, kids are under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stuff out there. Mm-hmm. And just to pray that, the hedge stays around us and that we're protected. Not naive enough to think our kids are not going to experiment with stuff or do things, but just to keep them, keep them protected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. That's helpful. So COVID happened.
It did. It did.
What have you learned through it, and what's been?
I like normal.
I was talking about that with somebody just today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normal is hard, but I like it.
What do you mean by that?
I think COVID made us lazy.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think it pressed on those things in some ways that made clear that we are generally that way, and that we're used to a certain luxury in life and sense of, I'll even say, entitlement. And I don't just mean, oh, those young people are so entitled nowadays because they don't know. I mean our whole world. And especially here in the West, in the, that made clear that we have been. And now it's given people an excuse to be more so. Mm-hmm. Some people.
And the flip side of that is I've seen my teachers working harder than they've ever worked.
And those who have those kinds of disciplines.
Yes.
And that's been shown to be more the case now.
Right.
Yes.
Nurses working harder than they've ever worked.
Sure.
My teachers working harder than just
by a lot.
Yes. And last year, juggling, both online and in person, and then this year, the kids are sick of their computers. They're sick of them. Mm-hmm. And so transferring back what they've done for a year and a half back to paper, pencil, and then just watching the kids kind of blossom, I think. That's the positive thing about COVID is that we've all realized that we like normal. And I think that maybe some of the professions that people just kind of took for granted, I think no one wants to teach their own child. So anyway, I think that's been... Yeah. I don't want to shut down again. I don't want to do that again.
I will say on camera, I won't.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore about what anybody says. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
We did once. They can fire me. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's too I think early on in COVID, we were talking about essential workers. What the heck's an essential worker? So I'm looking this thing up. Oh, okay, yeah, I understand what they mean by that. And then I thought, wait. Any work that anybody has ever done has been essential, not just for the world to work, but for that human being to live and have what they need and produce things that keeps people alive. So there is no such thing as not. And so in this vein, I had this discussion a little bit earlier today. The normal rhythm of people's lives, actually sustains them in some helpful, good ways that we can easily take for granted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we like to end with a couple questions like, what's God teaching you lately? And what are you excited or encouraged about?
What's God's teaching me? God is teaching me to slow down and be patient sometimes. I'm very... That's not your
natural tendency?
It's not my natural tendency. I am
I am constantly holding back.
Yes. So, yes, me too. Constantly holding back. Remember, I'm the Disney crazy fanatic who goes on vacation to be awake for 18 straight hours to ride roller coasters. So, and what was the other question?
18 straight hours?
Yeah.
Wait.
I opened Animal Kingdom and shut down Magic Kingdom. They were literally singing Happy Trails to You week before last, whenever I was there. It's a little insane.
Do you take Adderall?
No, drug free.
it's natural.
Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by slow down? What does that look like for you? How so? How do you do it? How have you needed to learn to do it?
Sometimes I just need to. I don't have to do everything. I think that's the big thing. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to do everything. I don't have to be at everything.
Are you trying to convince yourself right now?
Yes, I am. So that's hard for me.
What are the tentacles of you not doing things and doing everything that are actually good things that happen because you don't? And not just for you, but for everybody around you.
Other people take responsibility, and if I can't be, like right now, I'm not at the softball game, so I will have a score update when I pick up my phone again. You know what I mean? Those types of things.
Right.
Just if I can't be, my FFA is in Gatlinburg, so I can't be at convention. So all day long, they know it's important to me. My teachers know, so they're sending me updates of what the kids are doing and how they're doing.
Yeah.
It's very important. I want every kid to know they're important no matter what they do. So that's important to me, and then I get anxious about it. So because I need to know. I need to be involved. Yeah, and I can't be. I'm one person.
No. I have 521 kids, but you cannot.
Yeah, I try real hard.
You do, and making that scale with others around you is how that culture actually develops the ability to make 521 kids feel like they're actually loved on and cared for and being educated and prepped for the world. What's been hardest about you? What's hardest for you? Because believe me, I understand exactly what you mean by all that. In pastoral care and ministry, like I am constantly having to fight saying yes to all those things and always being there for, in ways that I naturally do and want to do. But the body has to do the work in ways that like I can't. What's been hardest for you in that? Whether that's practical or emotional or
I know.
whatever.
Emotionally, I would never want for one group or one kid or one entity to think that another's more important than the other. Like, I want them to all know that they're equally loved and important to me. And, it just works out that sometimes I can't physically be, everywhere. I just can't do it.
It's literally impossible.
It is.
You know that your
I try
inner,
really hard.
it's literally impossible, right? Your
do know
inner
that.
desire is impossible to achieve.
I do know that. So
Do
I
you?
think
Right? I understand.
I do, yeah. I guess.
Yeah.
I try. I mean, I really do try to be. I had a parent say, "You are literally at everything," and I said, "I'm not always, even though it appears, but I do have. I want to make sure that I have eyes and ears, but I just want."
Yeah.
I want them to know that it's not fake. Like, I love them.
Right.
Like, I genuinely, whether they're bowling or milking a cow, like, I want them to know that it's important to me that what they're doing. And that's simply that. It's important to me.
Yeah.
And I care about it.
Yeah. So how
Yeah.
are you resting? How are you learning to rest? We have hardly actually talked about that.
Well, I'm not writing a dissertation now. I have all kinds of times on my hands. I don't rest. I never rest. I mean, I go to bed at night and I pass out. Like, I pass out and then but as soon as my feet hit the floor. But I never dread going to work. I have the best job in the world. So it's okay.
So you're not going to answer the question.
I don't rest. I do about 20,000 steps a day. I don't rest. So
20,000.
Yeah, normally.
That's
It's a
up there.
good normal day.
Because I do 15,000-ish most days. Yeah.
Yeah, I did 25,000 one day at Disney, but then it turned over. So if I added, So anyway.
I had 27 yesterday.
So I went through 3 SROs on Friday nights because they don't want to work with me anymore because I walk them to death.
What?
Yeah, they
Really?
can't hang. Yeah, and I'm all of 5'3". Like, come on, you can take one step to my 2. It's ridiculous.
Those lazy SROs. So, last question.
Okay.
What are you excited or encouraged about?
I am really excited about the future. I'm really excited that the partnership with First Christian is happening.
Yeah, we
and
are
not
too.
just because I'm sitting here with you having
Right.
coffee conversations
Right.
without drinking coffee.
Yes, non-coffee convo.
Non-coffee convo. And I'll tell you why. The First Christian's presence on my campus has sparked the community to wake up and realize that we're there. And it's caused other businesses, other churches, other groups, if you will, to say, hey, we didn't realize that you needed this, and this. And the other beautiful thing is that I feel the love. Like, I know that I can pick up the phone and call Bob, and if he can make it happen, he'll make it happen. And without any strings attached.
Right.
And I have, me and my assistant principal have kind of carried the weight of making sure that our teachers have this, and this. And
Right, yes.
to have some of that just relief has been amazing.
Good.
It's been amazing.
That's helpful to
Yeah.
hear. because that's exactly the sort of, I mean, on the one hand, we like to say, open-handed, we don't have to wear the t-shirt, just tell us what you need, and we will try to, like, even on the DL, make things happen that are helpful, that you all say, this is what we need, and we go, okay, cool. So on the one hand, we want that to totally be, and yet here we are saying it online for people, and we're about to go public with all of the billboards and yard signs all over creation that say, hey, we're planting a campus soon. So it's going to be not on the DL soon. I hope that it is something that is perceived as helpful by all involved who are at South Greene and the community, and that it does, because, you know, we're just one place of many.
Right.
And you said, you didn't just say churches, you said businesses and others around.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I mean, we've got people that are. I mean, I had a call last week, said, can I just bring some snacks and put in your new lounge like we saw, you know, we saw you got it redone, so can you
Cool.
can we put some snacks? Can
That's
we
great.
bring you? You know, I'm like, yes, of course. And then I think that maybe I think schools have become more closed, and I think that, you know, actually using the school for a purpose other than just school is really good for the community.
Yeah.
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 I think so.
You should look into some doctoral work in
I'm done.
partnering with
No.
the community. Parents is just the first dissertation.
No, I'm done.
I'm just kidding. Good stuff. Thanks for coming for our non-coffee convo.
Non-coffee combo.
Join us next time.